Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
here
Glad to
on
finally be
The
here.
Real Talk.
The Real Talk.
Mike Burke.
Listen
And I'm
how
with
deep
my
our voice is.
sidekick over here, Garrett.
Garrett? Yeah.
Garrett, what's up, buddy?
Not much, just living the dream.
Yep. I've got a guest in the room today. He's one of my dearest friends. Keith Starnes is in the audience today. Say what's up, Keith.
What's up, Mike?
Yep. This is a buddy of mine I've known for a long time.
Yeah.
He was a guy that got me help in the car business. When I got out of college, he was my mentor in the car business.
So we have him to blame?
No, he told me to get the fuck out of the car business. Which I did.
So yes, the answer to that, Chris, is yes.
Right.
He's to blame to where I am today.
Oh, okay. Not sure if that's good or bad, but we'll take it.
I had the same disease he has and you have, which
Right.
is closing a deal. And
yeah.
I was getting addicted to the car business.
Right.
Just got out of college. Green, 7 days a week, open to close, bell to bell, working every deal, answering every phone, working the dealership like I'd never worked anything in my life, making unbelievable money,
Right.
and got addicted. And everyone kept telling me, get out. Get out.
Wait, all your coworkers were telling you
Well,
out.
I looked at the one coworker who was divorced, another one who was divorced, another one who never saw his kids do anything, another one who was on cocaine, another one who drank alcohol every night until he passed out. The other ones that smoked cigarettes, and I think they went through a carton a day. Not a pack, a carton.
Carton, coffee in one hand and cigarette in the other.
And I'm this young, work out at the gym. Yeah, exactly. By lunchtime, they have to go to lunch real quick to take a drink so they can get the shakes under control.
Or is that the Adderall?
No, back then it was the alcohol.
Oh, alcohol.
They drank so much in their career.
That's what was
By
actually in the
lunchtime,
coffee
they
cup?
needed the coffee cup for the alcohol. But anyway, he's here today. And you're one of my best friends, bro.
Thank you.
Or not the best friend, one of my best friends.
Blessed.
Yeah, and I'm privileged for you to fly in today on your private jet.
DJ. Man, life is getting better by the minute. Let's stick around on the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, he orders cars. I mean, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a nutshell before we start this podcast. I'm talking to Chris Hardy, okay? And Chris Hardy, to me, is like a WWE superstar. He's the guy on the top rope. He's the guy that walks out with 2 chicks. He's the guy that jumps on stage and the whole audience goes freaking nuts. This is who I'm talking to right now. He is the most dynamic, spectacular, eventful person I have ever met in my life. And I thought I was that guy until I shared the stage with him. I'm 6'2", 230 pounds, work out every day. When you're in the room with him, he's 300 pounds, 7 foot tall with red shoes.
At least you got the red shoes in. That's all that matters. The red shoes. Cheers.
Cheers,
is
my brother.
My sweet tea versus your
Sweet
bourbon.
tea versus
tea.
good bourbon. And no, I'm very, very happy to have you here. And I want to hear some backstories. So many people know you and you've done multiple podcasts. But most of the podcasts that you do are industry related. We don't give a shit about the industry. We care about who the fuck are you? Okay?
All right.
At the end of the day, who are you? What's your name? Where were you born? And where you come from? How did you become this magnificent, amazing person that you are?
Yeah, I don't know about how to answer the last question, but name is Christopher Hardy, like you said. I was born and raised in Toronto. Basically to a single mom. My dad didn't pass, sorry. He left when I was 2. And then my mom raised us. But her background was, a very well-educated family. And so growing up, it was very much so challenged to be the best that you could be all the time. Like, believe in yourself. You can do anything you put your mind to. Not that you're going to become a basketball player or something like that, but that, like, look, if you really want to put your mind to something, you can make it happen. And then my mom had gone back to university when I was around 13 or 14. And that changed things quite dramatically because from then on, she entertained a lot of scholars and people within that community. But they would come typically on a Friday and or Saturday night for dinner. And my sister and I were expected to sit down at the table and participate in conversation. And we weren't allowed to leave the table. And we had to have things that were worth saying and something you could back it up. Like, you couldn't just come up with like some sort of ambiguous statement that you couldn't back up. And if you did, you got challenged. And you're challenged by professors and, CEOs and stuff like that of industry. And so this was a big part of my upbringing that led to, let's say, the success that I've had, I think is the best way of putting it. I started cleaning rooms for the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Toronto.
At what age?
16.
Yeah.
And I had worked at like an amusement park.
Did you
for a
see
couple
Garrett?
years.
Because I think he did.
Did you do that?
I am also a jack of all trades, but I did not clean rooms.
Well, so I cleaned rooms, and I did it for about 3 months. And then I ended up getting promoted. And by the end of the second summer, I was the night manager of this massive hotel in downtown Toronto. And I was too young to have the position, sort of like did some things I probably shouldn't have, like checking in rooms for free for friends and what have you. And
No, that's exactly what you should do.
well,
You're seven-
except
what,
on behalf
16,
of 17 at the time.
Statute of limitations is run out. You're good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, even though I'm staying there in a couple of
What
weeks,
was the
maybe I
legal
should.
sex age then? Is it 17?
In Canada, I don't know.
That's what I mean. I don't know.
Who knows?
All right.
But so I ended up leaving, and I got into the electronic business, right? And it actually was not to sell. I wanted to do stockroom. I at the time was like 120 pounds, wanted to put on weight, started training, found a buddy of mine that was obviously quite well built and really had a lot of experience. And so I went and worked for a company called Multitech Warehouse Direct. This is a company that was very competitive to like a Best Buy here in the U.S.
Okay.
Canadian chain doesn't exist here and didn't exist in the U.S. Well, this was like in September, October, and I'm just stocking. Like the trucks are rolling up, unload the truck, load up the shelves, sometimes with huge products, sometimes with minor ones, go out on the floor, keep that all up to date. But in Canada, you have a sale day called Boxing Day. This is the day after Christmas. So on the 26th, even though it's not legal for you to be open, a lot of people get tickets. A lot of retail would open and have the most insane sale day you've ever seen in your life.
So it's like our Black Friday.
It's like your Black Friday, for sure.
Okay.
It's very similar. So a week before Black Friday, the store manager had come to me and said, "Hey, look, I need you on the floor next week." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've never sold anything in my life. I don't know what to sell, how to sell. No, I'm not doing it." It's like, "Oh yeah, you are. You're employed here or you're not working here. I don't have enough staff to cover the floor. I need you on the floor, and I tell you what, I'll make it easy on you." So everything back then was compartmentalized. So all I was selling was like keyboards and telephones, cordless telephones. This is back in 1990-ish. Yeah. And answer machines and what have you. And he's like, "Look, need you on the floor, do a crash course on the products, understand what we want you to upsell. The most important thing is the warranty penetration, and you're working the floor next week." So go through the Boxing Week. I'm excited to get back to the stockroom. And he comes to me at the end of the week, and they do a salesperson review of the entire team. And he's got sheets in front of him to talk about what was the total sales per day, total week, warranty penetration.
Performance review.
Yeah, a lot of statistical numbers, right?
Yep.
And especially like how many of the advertised products did you sell to non-advertised? Because that ratio is really important to an operation like that when you're recognizing that they're using, in essence, a loss leader of some kind. There's value to it, of course, 'cause you can't break the law, but can you present value to move on to something else where they can make more money?
It's the car that's $9,999 with no power windows, no AC. It's a 5-speed, and it's on order, and we don't have any more left on the lot.
So you can't legally do that. Like if you're going to advertise it, you actually had to have inventory. And if you didn't have inventory, you had to dictate
Yep.
ahead of time how much inventory you would have until you ran out.
Got it.
Especially in Canada, it's a lot more regulated than it is here. Regardless, here we are at the end of the week. We're all sitting down, and he's going through all the salespeople and their numbers and stuff like that. And I didn't think I was part of the chart. Like, I didn't think I was part of this conversation because it was just temporary. And at the end of it, he's like, "So who do we think the top salesperson of the week was?" And it happened to be me. So I had outsold dollars, I had outsold upsell, and I had outsold warranty penetration by almost triple the next closest person.
Get out.
Jeez.
And it was just something that like came naturally,
When you're
right?
green, you
Green.
listen.
I didn't listen. I just did what I had to do, right? Like
Okay.
I wasn't like in the car business. You're right. You load the lips up. You tell the person, hey, this is what you should probably say next, whatever. I'm very familiar with that term, but in the electronic business, there's not that opportunity. There's too much going on.
So did it give you a high? You said you wanted to get back to the stock room.
Yeah, and
But
so I
did
still.
you get any kind of endorphin?
Well, I
out of it?
still wanted to go back to the stock room.
Oh, wow.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of people say, what's the magic thing for sales? Because those are people that are not salespeople. They are the ones that are introverted. Because when you say you want to go back to the sales room, I immediately thought you're an introvert. Some people just don't like being around other people. They just like being in their own space, and they can be as efficient as anything. But for you, you just took your natural ability, which it sounds like stems back from those conversations at the dinner table. Because I was going to ask, okay, what made you go to sales versus being a lawyer? Because my initial inclination was, this guy's going to go to law school.
So look at valid question, right? Everybody in my family obviously anticipated higher education, especially because everybody else had a doctorate. But I was in grade 10 and listening to the high school teachers and thinking I know more than you do. Now I was naive and being a jackass, but that is a reality. That is how I felt. Started working for the Sheridan, as I mentioned. So maybe grade 11 at this point, and then I was making more than my mom was. So I'm like, why would I go to university for a lower paycheck after all that education? Didn't make sense. Left school. I actually, to this day, don't think I have finished grade 11, although I did end up going back and doing a GED, so maybe I did. But great question. Going back to like, what was the secret to the sale? I've had this question asked, I don't even know how many times. I honestly couldn't tell you. I've had people who have offered to co-write chapters in novels of theirs or books of theirs that they were trying to do as like self-help books for like strategy and sales and things like that. And I'm like, man, you sound too
Robotic.
robotic is definitely a good word for it, but it's too prepared.
Rehearsed.
And-
Rehearsed.
Yes.
Too scripted.
I'm good with all of those, but I like prepared even more.
It's
Like you're literally, sorry.
no, yeah.
No, you keep going. Finish that.
Because I get asked that question. I've been in all sorts of different sales, environments, and I thrive in each one. And I get asked, "How do you?" And I look at someone and I go, "Fuck if I know." I just do it because it's coming off genuine. It's coming off as a person. It's coming off as understanding and listening. And if you can master those, you can have any conversation you want and still get something sold.
I'm still working on the listening part.
I actually did a course last week specifically on better listening skills.
Yeah, you and I, the thing is, what I've always, because I've had multiple people tell me I'm good at sales, and I don't understand sometimes why they say that. I'm good with people because I can tell people what they want to hear to get them excited to have a better experience. And I look at everything as an experience. If I'm in the same room of other people, I want to create an experience.
Right.
And when they leave that room, I want to be memorable.
Yeah.
And I want to leave an impression, good or bad. I want to leave a fucking impression.
Including bad.
Including bad, because I do that too. But it's like I always say, I have the people that love me, that think I'm amazing, and then I have the people that fucking hate me.
Right.
And there is no middle ground. Mike's all right. No. It's either I fucking love this guy, I hate him. And that's great because I wear myself black and white.
Right.
Chris, where are you in that?
Exact same way. I'll add one extra word in there.
No, I meant which side?
Oh, no.
He's still figuring it out. He flips a coin every day.
That's a better question, actually. Yeah, daily we can. No, it's love. I mean, I loved him from the very minute that I met him. He was larger than life, and we met at SEMA. And he was telling me instantaneously how big he was and how much he spent and how awesome he was. And I was like, yeah, fuck you. Like, I'm taking you down. And
that's where the love started.
And then that's where the love started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We challenged each other, and I was semi-retired. I was racing motocross with my son, working part-time, 2 days a week, and this asshole had to get me out of retirement and challenge me. And now I got fucking everything I have because of this douchebag right here. I was happy.
I will take credit as long as he's willing to split 50-50 with me.
And you know what? This is recorded.
Yeah, I heard it all.
All I know is in Canada, there's a safe buried somewhere with like Canadian dollars somewhere. I don't know.
Listen, if he can point me to that safe, I'll be happy.
The only one that got the map was I emailed it to his wife. I don't
No wonder she's in Canada right now.
That's awesome. So sales-wise, you went from now the floor and doing sales, and obviously you went back into sales from electronics. They recruited you and said you're no longer doing.
Well, the end of the story is that they showed me the check.
Oh, money.
Yeah.
Don't show them the money.
It was, and by the way, here's what you made for the week.
And what was it?
It was like 7 times more than I made in a week as the other role. So I was
That's
like,
enough incentive.
It was pretty incentivizing.
Right.
And I still thought I wanted to go back to the stockroom. Yeah, because like again, like I'd had this plan, like I'm gonna go to the stockroom, I'm gonna lift heavy objects all day long, I'm gonna get big and beef, and
I'm
get
muscle.
Yeah. Want to finally put some size on.
You can get muscles at the gym.
Now you can pay for those.
Right. So that's true. It wasn't maybe available back then.
You can afford steak with 7,000.
Yes. So anyways, they literally told me, no, you're never going back in the stockroom or you're not working. So you're working the floor. And like, I remember my future brother-in-law was working in the same company, which is how I came to find the company in the first place. He'd been there for like 4 years. And 3 or 4 months later, I'm already like an assistant manager of another location. And then like 3 months after that, I'm store manager of a smaller store. And then like a year later, I'm the flagship store. And then like a year later, I'm the area general manager. And it just naturally progressed. What the thing I was able to realize was that one way or another, I was also able to motivate others to sell. And I wouldn't say train, because I think that all of us as good salespeople would agree that you either naturally have the talent or you don't.
Say that again.
Yeah, you
naturally
in sales,
talent,
you either naturally have the talent or you don't. That's an absolute fact for me.
Garrett read my book.
Oh, good. At least one of us did.
All blank page.
I was going to say, I'm still waiting for the coloring to come out. But, you know, Keith's in the car business, look, loading the lips, giving some extra trajectories or ideas on how to approach a sale, you can do. But if you can't relate with the individual, if you can't understand the correct signals of what they're telling you, regardless of the words and when, you miss on the sale. And so if we're going to say if there's a secret to sales success, my answer would try and be something that's really not easy to latch onto, and that is that my opinion is if the person's in front of me, they already want to buy it. They're already there to make the purchase. They've made the decision. They're looking for you to justify the decision. And if that's the case, which I think 99 out of 100 times it is, I'm going to be able to produce the reasons for why. So the electronic company that I was with, they made a mistake. They had 30 stores. They were doing really well. But there was another company called Future Shop that was expanding unbelievably rapidly. They had a lot of money behind them. We didn't. We only had so much line of credit. And so they put in 22 new stores in like 13 months with the same line of credit. Well, what happens is your SKU lines go dramatically down because you can't afford all the same SKUs anymore. Right. Your shelves start to look a little bare. You actually start to look like you're going out of business. And the writing was on the wall. So I'd sold this home theater package to a gentleman who was the epitome of a used car salesman. Smoking the cigarettes. In Canada, the popular coffee is Tim Hortons. He was drinking Tim Hortons extra large, 6 and 6. Not like a double or even a triple, 6 and 6. He was drinking these all through the day.
Oh my God.
But I had sold him this like massive home theater package. He's like, look, if you ever want to make real money, you got to come to the car business. I'm like, oh, fuck you. I don't want to fucking be a low-life car salesman. No, thank you. That's not what I grew up to be. The writing, again, as I said, was on the wall. I had a number of people that had made some offers to me. I thought, you know what? I don't know why. I went to go check out this opportunity, and he was really intelligent in one regard. Instead of meeting and interviewing with him, he put me in front of the owner of the dealership. And this gentleman was mid-30s, really polished, You could tell just a really good, genuine human being. And he was like, gone in the 1950s sales tactics. If you use in this dealership, I'll literally fucking fire you on the spot. You're starting to work for me tomorrow. And I had more interviews lined up. And I really wanted to go and listen to them. And yet there was something about him, right? He closed me.
He closed.
Straight up.
Yep.
Closed me.
It was the genuineness, the polishedness.
It was all of it. It was the connectedness. Like he connected with me in seconds.
It's like a good first date.
It's like, well, that's even better, yeah. So, hold on. We'll drink to that. So I get on so they hired me on, and my starting day was a Wednesday. And initially the plan was 2 full weeks of training before I could get on the floor. And start with the brochures, and then learn like how to write up a deal, and then introduce yourself to the service department and parts department and understand how to do walkthroughs and all that jazz. Well, by Friday, I'm bored out of my mind. I'm like, I've read everything. I understand everything. I'm guarantee I can tell you more about this car than you can at this point. Yada, yada, yada. Please just let me go. They're like, no, it's 2 weeks. It's a policy. Saturday comes along, and of course, as you know, that's the busiest day. Busiest day. And in the morning, first thing we get there, I'm like begging the sales manager, please, like I'm bored to death. Let me show you what I can do.
Right.
I'm good.
Yep.
It's like, nah, you're going to have to split your deals with another person. I'm like, no, can you just let me have at it? And so this was Acura back in 1995 when they had 2 cars to sell, which is a Legend, and Integra. And that's it. And
did they have the MDX back then?
no, God, no. No, that came out in the 2000s.
Yeah, early
2000s.
There's 2 cars.
Yeah.
There's a 4-door Legend, a 2-door Legend, and then a 2-door Integra and a 4-door Integra.
Oh, you had the NSX at that point too.
And yeah,
yeah,
you're
they
right.
came out
You're
a little
right.
bit.
Now the NSX was there. He's right.
Yep.
I mean, it's a very rare
car
that you'd sell it, especially then. But in essence, you had 2 vehicles to sell from, and the highest number of deliveries per salesperson in that dealership in any given month was this gentleman named Wayne, who was just a super cocky, awesome salesperson individual. And even when I met him, he's like, by the way, I hear you're a superstar, just so you know now. I'm the number one in this town. That's the way it's going to stay. I'm always going to be number one. And he was like, and I'm like, let me just tell you right now, you'll fucking never be number one ever again. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, you might want to just take the number 2 spot. Like, it's never going to happen.
It's okay.
So first day on the floor, I sell 4.5, because you do have split deals.
I get it.
So I sold 4.5 cars. And right away, people are like, including the owner, what did you do? How did you? I don't know. Like, what do you want from me? Like, these people came in, I feel like they wanted that car. I sold them the car. And it was super cool because he was really proactive. He actually gave me a lot of mentorship in how to treat people that are below you. The most famous restaurant in Toronto at the time was called North 44. This was like the fucking hot spot. And he had a gorgeous Legend LS or GS, whatever the top model was of his own. He's like, here's the keys to my car. I've already called North 44. You and your girlfriend are going there Friday night for dinner. The bill's all paid by me, and you're going to take my car for the weekend.
This is the owner of the dealership.
Owner of the dealership.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This is the gentleman that I learned how to treat people with like things that you could do for them that was not part of a package or a plan.
Right.
And really motivate them. Catch them off guard. So first month on the floor, I delivered 21 cars. And I get a phone call from the president of Acura Canada. He's taking me to Spago's for dinner. And he asked the same question, right? We have a newsletter, an Acura newsletter every month. We would like to have you on the cover, and then we'd like to write an article, and we'd like you to help mentor other salespeople. So can you walk me through what you did? Now, by the way, all this is done through a translator because he's obviously Japanese. And I'm like, I'm going to really disappoint you because I don't have a plan. There is no answer to the question you're asking me.
I'm just me, and I read the audience, and I say what they need to hear.
I didn't know enough back then to even use those words.
Wow.
It was literally like, I have no clue.
I don't know. It's me.
I don't know what to tell you. Get me on the phone, get me in front of a person. If that's what they want, that's what they really want. I'm gonna agree with them and explain why. And then they're gonna buy it from me.
The best thing that I've learned is when you're talking with someone, you learn about them really quick. And if you pick up on that, you can then use the words that you would normally use, you distill it down to what they would understand. When you talk about PPF, Mike has a certain phrase I will not use.
I know.
But I describe it, okay, this is going to protect you from the debris. Fusion is then going to protect you from environmental impact. So you have physical impact and then you get environmental impact. And people go, oh, okay. So when you do that and you distill it down, you're connecting with them on more than just, I know when your birthday is. You're connecting with them on making sure that they understand what they are getting. And that I have seen is the only thing that I've known, because coming from the jewelry industry, you can get into very technical details. And people try to go to that immediately because they want to show, I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about. But if you can make it so that you understand what I know,
Right.
you make them feel like $1 million and they will buy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I mean, a lot of your personality adopts or adapts, one of the other words, to the individual you're dealing with.
I like to use humor. Okay. I like to take the tension out of the air.
Yep.
And be entertaining, but knowledgeable at the same time, because I feel like that takes me as being a non-threatening person. I'm come across sometimes more intimidating or threatening. So if I can back down and be more of the not funny guy, but also just make a joke here and there, like pop a joke here and there, I loosen the room up, I lighten the air, and then the air gets lighter, and then that's when I come in for the close. Because,
but you see, you still talk like you're preparing, even in just what you just said. There's a method.
There is a method.
And I'm like, no, I don't think
Audrey says no.
Yeah, I
what do you
don't think
say?
it's correct.
There is not a method. He makes up a different explanation for what he does every time he talks about it.
Exactly.
It's all intuition. He has no plan, no idea. He'll explain it to you, and if you talk to him tomorrow, he'll explain it in some completely different way.
This is where I'm going with this.
I think that's ADD.
He will make it sound like it's all thought out, and that's his process, and he does everything. No.
No, I'm actually 100% aligned with you. I think he literally just bullshitted us.
It sounded really good, though, right?
Like, if he was sitting across from like a lawyer who's trying to be like really prim and proper and get to the deal, he's not going to crack some wise ass joke. He's not going to probably be swearing.
No, yes, he will. Yes, he will.
He might. He's another one of those that doesn't recognize
This is real talk with Mike Burke, not fluff
Let's put
stuff
it
with
this
Mike
way.
Burke.
I had the CEO of Expel, a $1 billion company, picked up at the airport, and we were laughing, telling jokes, and cussing within 15 minutes.
Ryan's unbelievable. Ryan's another one that like is a genuine mentor.
He's awesome. I love him. But man, so you really suck at sales. We've established that.
Suck at sales.
And you've moved from Accurate. Where did we go from that? Why did you leave Accurate? You were making biggest. Let me ask one more question.
Sure.
What was your biggest year in income in selling cars? Like, just tell me, 100 grand, 120, like US dollars, 200?
Yeah, no more.
More.
Oh yeah.
300,000?
Yeah.
So you made $300,000 in the 90s selling cars.
Yeah.
And that's Canadian.
That's Canadian though. Like, look, I mean, unfortunately, maybe at the time Canadian, the U.S.
might have
dollar
been
was
150,
no. The dollar might have been par.
Yeah,
There's been time when the Canadian dollar has been worth more.
Yeah, that's true.
So they don't really look at it like how is our dollar to theirs because it's not dramatic like a peso is.
So you were rolling.
Yeah, I was doing well.
What did you? So what fucking car did you drive when you were selling Acuras? Did you drive an Acura?
BMW.
Well, I had
Did they give you a loaner? Back then?
Yes.
Demos, I guess.
Yes, but I still ended up always having my own vehicle on top of that. So I had like a number. I mean, over the years, like I had Mercedes CLS 500. I had a Corvette Z06. I had a lot of motorcycles. Loved motorcycles. But I mean, it was really hard not to just use what was from work.
Yeah, I get it.
Right? Like, and then when I was a used car manager for a short while, which was the one position that I didn't do so well in, that job was not meant for me, that's for sure. That was a real treat because you just bought whatever you wanted in the auction on Tuesday to drive for a week or two and then put it on the lot.
You ever make it F&I?
Yeah, did that for about
I didn't like that.
8 months, hated it.
I hated it. I'm not a detailed paperwork type person.
No, the part of that wasn't the issue for me. It was the idea that I connect over time. And in the F&I,
You have to connect.
yeah, it's short. I mean, you need to get that client in and out as fast
Quit
as possible.
drinking your sodas and save $2 a day, and then you can afford the. You know the deal. I know.
You can
only
get the
thing-
tire and wheel package if you cut down to 1 pack of cigarettes a day versus 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. You sound like you've done this once or twice.
Baby.
Sadly, no.
You maybe
But you know the deal.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Instagram reels out there now. And you
can learn anything.
You can learn anything you want. So you went from the car business
Yeah.
to where? And why did you leave?
All right. So, harsh story. Moved to Los Angeles.
Ooh, from Canada.
Yeah.
Was there a
Followed a woman. Yeah.
Ooh, always a
And
woman.
then that didn't work out real quick.
Right. She saw the money.
I don't know about that, but she saw a lot more money. And our just relationship fell apart. Let's just be nice about it.
Got it.
And I didn't want to go back with my tail between the legs because I had lots of friends who were like, "Are you fucking crazy?
What are you
You've got
doing?
an
You just left
incredible
a big
job.
job."
You're the
Yeah, yeah,
GSM of the
yeah.
dealership.
Right,
Why would you do this?"
right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is the love of my life." And sure, her job offer was insane,
Right.
for a boutique investment bank. So lasted about 2 years. Went to my mom's, and she just finished a new home in the interior of British Columbia. And I went there for what was supposed to be a 1-week vacation. 3 weeks later, I'm like, I'm moving here.
Yeah. The place is beautiful.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's picturesque.
I've
Yeah.
never been to BC.
Oh, it's-
Don't go.
Yeah, if you go, you
won't
don't come back. Yeah.
Except in the winter.
No, even then, because there's lots of amazing winter sports. If you like winter sports,
I love snow skiing and stuff like that. So that to me is.
well, then you should live in British Columbia. What are you doing here?
I'm from LA.
That's even worse. Well, but you can at least go to Bear Mountain.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go from
you
here?
got Big Bear,
Asheville?
Mammoth. That was my
Oh.
place, but
Okay.
yeah, you got Grandfather Mountain, Sugar Mountain, and that's all ice.
Those are like ice skating rinks.
Yeah.
That have one slope down.
Oh, I was not touting them. I was just saying what's here.
Those mountains are really good for tubing.
I don't know how. When you go to British Columbia and then you see a real mountain, you're like, that's not a mountain. That's not even a hill.
We love Lake Louise
Lake Louise is amazing.
and Banff. It's
Banff,
amazing.
yeah.
But
All right. So, anyways,
you
here
went
I am.
back
I'm in
for-
British
What'd you do
Columbia.
in LA? What'd you do for work?
Car business. This was a crazy failure on my part. This
Car
is the,
business there, you sucked.
No, that too. Actually, there's a little bit of truth to that too. Sorry. I had gone down with the idea of opening up my own online internet auction house.
Okay.
This was in 2005. And eBay was sort of just really becoming popular. So knowing what a dealership deals with to bring a car to the auction, not have the vehicle for a week, get it prepped, get it cleaned, pay for the entrance
Yeah.
fees, pay for the sale fee,
Yep.
pay for the transport,
Yep.
pay for everything. I was like, there's a modern age called the internet that's coming. And so with me and a couple of other people, we created a company that was called Web Car Fusion, and I thought it was going to be unreal.
Yep.
And
Two.
I didn't have enough funding.
Got it.
I thought it would take a lot less than it did. In total, I don't even know, it's 1.3 million or something like that. Total funds available. It took more like 10 million to get it off the ground and get it done right. So it failed. Like it crashed. We tried building the software. It was supposed to take 3 months. It took like 9 or 10. It was supposed to be a $250,000 build in the software platform. It was like 800 grand. It just didn't work. So anyways, end up back in Canada because I hated car sales in California, by the way. Hated them.
It's terrible.
It was the people.
No, it wasn't the people. It was the car sales strategy.
Got it.
It was
The dealership didn't have the same owner.
say
same
anything,
mentality
say anything you need to.
to get them to buy the car.
And then there was a you, and then a closer, and a closer's closer, and a closer's closer, and then the desk manager, and then the GSM, and there was like a line of people would come in and try and hammer you to buy the car and drive off. Now, you only sign basically like a promise, a SARI note. Like there's no contract done yet because they take your credit score and they let you leave. They haven't done the actual contract.
Dehorsing them.
No, dehorsing is when you take somebody out of their current vehicle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then you're like, now I've got your trade. But regardless, it was crazy pressure. And I felt like it was a really unfair of doing a transactional interaction with the person. So I hated the business. Did I do okay at it? Sure, but not the way that they did. Anyways, back in Vancouver-ish area and start working for Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
And man,
Fell in love.
yeah, was hard to understand the cult-like following that Harley had until you were in the environment, and still have to this day. And it was all, again, like hilarious. There was a gentleman, I won't say his name. Oh, actually, yes, I will. Cam. And he was the top salesperson for Harley Davidson. He was delivering like 25 bikes on average a month. And everybody was like, oh, Cam's the rock star. And he is a good he's actually a very good salesman. But I started and I delivered like 40 something in my first month.
40 something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Smoked him.
Let me ask you this, though. You go into the Harley dealership and say, I'm a badass sales guy and I want a job. How did you get the job?
No, so they had approached me.
Okay.
I have no clue to this day how they knew. Oh, maybe I do actually. So I had gone out and presented my resume to a number of car dealerships.
Got it.
The GM was friends with another car dealership.
Right.
Said, hey, I'm not looking for a guy, but this guy seems pretty sharp.
Right.
Do you need anybody?
Right.
And then that's how they recruited me.
So that's sorry.
go ahead.
This is incredible to me because that does not happen anymore.
It used to.
But
No, it used to.
And that's what I'm saying is so many people now.
Right.
I could have had I come to you not knowing my mom, me, like there would no. Would you have taken me seriously if I brought you my resume?
Not at all.
Would you have reached out to Keith and said, dude, this guy knows his shit. He's a car guy. Like, that is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if I put my name on the line and I tell somebody's good, they are.
Right.
Because if I vouch for somebody and I tell them this is the guy that I would hire, I would do, and I would work with, and my name and reputation's on the line, I don't vouch for many people. When I do, my word means something.
Right. But like that is, I think, what's lost today is because there are a lot of great people that are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to preach or anything.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
Totally right
But
on.
this to me is so fascinating because I graduated in 2010 from Indiana.
Yeah.
Decent GPA, busted my ass all through college, had 2 jobs, I did everything, and couldn't get one job. I applied, I worked in sales for a long time, moved here, couldn't get a job. And
Needed sales experience.
and I had it. But even though I had that, even though I was the #1 salesperson, even though I was mentoring, even though I was doing I was doing everything for a business, nobody returned my call. Every single one of my resumes that I sent out was tabled.
Wow.
Nobody would put their. I would reach out and say, "Hey, I need." Nobody put their neck out on the line because nobody. It's not that they value their reputation. It was not worth their time. They were not receiving anything for it.
I get it. I mean, I'll tell you this. I do have really good friends that work for some of the competition, and when they're looking for somebody and they can't find somebody, there's a number of them that called me and said, "Hey, have you recently seen anybody that you haven't said yes to because you didn't have the space that maybe I could take a look at?"
I've sent people to people. Like, I have people that inquire.
People call me all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
So
maybe reaching out happens more often than maybe, hey, I've got somebody for you, you should look at.
Right.
And that is what happened in that case.
I get a few tent shops and PPF shops across the country, and they're like, "Hey, Mike, you know anybody?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
this
but
is what this is what you're
connections.
getting if I send
Right.
you this person.
Right.
I will tell you it comes with fleas. Make sure you use the hornet's nest because make sure you don't leave anyone there after hours. I mean, you know what I mean. You give them the fair warning.
Yes.
Okay. Will the guy produce? Yeah. Will the guy make you money? Yeah. But he needs mentorship. He needs coaching. He needs a mom. He needs handheld. If that's what you want, I can give you 2 or 3 of those guys. But if you want a guy that's going to come in and run your business and be the superstar, I've already hired him.
Right. Right. There's no way I'm passing them up.
I'm sorry. I take the good shit. You can get the second shit. And I think everyone that's a smart businessman does the same. And the thing is, if I found someone similar to myself, ambitious, driven, hungry, people skills, good window tint skills, and has a good credit, a good car, polished, I will buy a building or rent a building and create a business for that person because I'm an investor in people. And that's where I get my greatest return, is because if I go out and say, I got a PPF installer and I got a window tint installer that's badass, they're great, just went through a divorce, but he's got good credit, he's polished, he's clean cut, doesn't smoke pot all the time, doesn't drink all the time, he's got his shit together, got a 401k, I left the wife to the house and I'm just ready to rebuild. I had to sell my shop. Bro, come here. What do you need? Like, you need 50 grand, 100 grand? Let's go. I'll fucking open the shop for you tomorrow. Let's be partners. Pay me back the loan. This is where people have the misconnect because they're the disconnect. They think because they bring the skills to the table that they should be a partner in a business. And I go, okay, well, that's just one aspect. But if you were bringing the skills and asking the bank for money, you would have to pay the bank back. I'm the bank.
Right.
Pay the bank back, and then we can negotiate the percentages of partnership.
Right.
But pay the bank back first.
Right.
If not, you have no ownership in the business. It's like when you buy a car. You don't own the car. You can say you own the car, but you don't have the title to the car. The bank does. As soon as you pay it off, then you have the title. Then you can negotiate it with anyone else you want to sell the car to. But right now, if the bank owns the business, the bank owns the business. And that's what when I say these, I mean people who have never owned a business before don't comprehend. They think because they're bringing the skill sets to do, and I'm doing all the work. Great, that's correct, you are. But you need a building, you need advertising, you need a website, you need inventory, you need plotters, you need lights, you need a boat. So one of the analogies I use is I built the ship and I'm looking for captains. But if you want to pay off the ship, we can be partners on the ship. And you can hire as many shipmates as you want and as many captains as you want, and you can steer the ship wherever you want it to go. But you first have got to pay off the ship.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
And so there's just a lot of disconnects from employee to owners. They think we just roll in dough. Like, it's like, bro, you're making all the money. I'm taking all the risk.
Yeah. Did you read that E-Myth book?
I did.
So it was Josh Popenick that put me onto that.
Really?
Yeah.
It was an audio book for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
What did you think about it?
Amazing. It was so descriptive. It was so accurate in that you have this myth that everybody's an entrepreneur, that everybody's got a business as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And yet, a true entrepreneur is probably got a lot more skill set than most people actually own a business, whether it's natural talent and or some kind of like educational background. So here you have a situation like you're basically describing in that a person is really good at something. They're a really good accountant. They're a really good tinter. They're a really good,
Lawyer, accountant, whatever.
But they're so good at their skill set that themselves and others around them are suggesting to them, why are you making them all the money off your labor? You should go do this yourself. But your skill set was as the installer.
Right.
How in the world do you know that translates to a good salesperson?
Brilliant point.
A good manager, right? A good fixed ops person.
Ordering inventory, like just quality control, like a number of skill sets, right?
Marketing,
right? Everything.
You don't have any of those,
right?
None of it,
correct.
But you and your circle of influence around you has convinced you. That's sales. Mm-hmm. Sales, what you said, convincing them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They methodically told them that they should do this themselves, and hence the reason why. I don't know what the current number is, but 80% of businesses fail within the first 2 years, if it's not higher than that.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you become this badass Harley Davidson salesperson.
Yeah.
And you're making decent, question.
Yeah.
The money you make selling a car that cost a lot more than a Harley.
Yeah.
Did you make as much profit?
More.
And you made more profit off a Harley?
Way more.
Really? Explain that to me. I don't understand.
Okay, so in the car business, especially in that time, in essence, you would sell the only purpose of selling the car was to load the back end.
Right, finance.
To load the service department up with more cars on the road to work on.
Got it.
The real money in a dealership back in the day,
service.
Maybe it's changed a little bit in the profile right now, especially during COVID. It definitely did. But the real, and it's getting worse now because of service intervals and all these other details. But the point is that you would sell a car for barely above cost, as long as you moved another number that went towards your co-op So there's back end money that the dealership got that the sales staff didn't, get to realize. But in essence, to create another service vehicle. And in Harley, there wasn't even discounting. You
paid the sticker, and then you bought the accessories, and accessories were 200% markup. And
Thank
I don't
you,
know if
man.
they
May
were-
have another.
I don't know if they were that dramatic, but there was good money in
a
everything.
$20 chrome part was $120. There wasn't anything I put on my Harley that was less than $100.
Maybe, but the question is, did Harley charge you 20? Did Harley charge the dealership 20, or did Harley charge the dealership 60 because it had a Harley logo on it? I don't know the answer to that.
This is true.
But again, the bike was at full sticker. There was no negotiating. The trade value was whatever the trade value was.
Right.
Or just take it and sell it privately. Didn't care. You were buying the bike. And then, yes, you had to personalize every single motorcycle. So it was pipes and intake and bags and bars and everything.
Paint,
Grips.
inside, what did it matter? Yep.
Yeah. And so let's say the motorcycle was 20 grand. By the time you got through personalizing it, by the time you got through the clothing department, helmet, new jacket,
Yep.
boots, you got to look good. All this was part of the,
Image.
and like sales strategy
Sure.
of the dealership. But then you got in the finance office and the rim and tire and all these insurances and the warranty, and it was just stuck into the loan, and almost everybody loans. I don't know how, I never worked the finance office of the Harley Davidson stores, but I never saw somebody paying cash. I'm not saying it didn't happen. It definitely would have,
But in your experience,
but it seemed like everybody
the interest
financed
rates
it.
are usually a little bit higher on bikes.
Yeah, and Hardy still, I'm sure to this day, is just a really good lender. They have a
they're all-
lower threshold for credit score, higher interest rates, but they might have like 4 or 5 tiers
Right.
to approve somebody. So the bonus was you knew that almost always the person was going to get what we call bought, right? Approved.
Sure.
And right off they go. Well, my problem was that I had sold this motorcycle, and it was a CVO Road Glide Ultra, but it had what they call a limited paint set on it. So every year you go to the dealer convention in Wisconsin, right, Milwaukee, and Harley Davidson will have like a display area where they've got these custom paint sets. And it'd be like different themes. Maybe a Joker, maybe a Star Wars, maybe if they got the licensing, maybe a midnight vision scene, whatever, like all kinds of different things. And each dealership would get 3 chips, and your chip would have your number. So the number of your dealership, like, your dealership, Harley Davidson store 128. You'd have 3 128s. And you would look at all the different paint sets that are coming out, usually around 12 or 14 a year. And you would put a chip in to the ones that you're looking to win a paint set. They only produce 150 of these paint sets amongst the entire lineup. So you have your Sporties, you have your Dynas, you have your Softails, you have your touring bikes, you have your Tri-Glides, all 5 lines. Now there's even more. If you won the lottery, if you won a lottery to have one of those paint sets, then you would pick what bike it was for. So we managed to land one. And I remember it was a Joker set. It literally looked like a Batman and Joker kind of paint set. It was super cool. The paint set was $12,000. Customer rides off. And literally less than a week, he comes in and he's got this massive stone chip. It's about the size of a quarter. And it's when you're staring at the bike, right? We call the shark nose. It's right beside the driver's side headlight, and it's just glaringly in your view.
It looks like bad acting.
It was so bad. I mean, it was where the Joker was purple at that point, and it was completely white, and just a white circle, and where this stone had clearly hit it and hit off the paint. So the gentleman and his wife were like, well, what are we going to do? Like, can you get us another fairing? I'm like, that was a lottery paint set. There's no such thing as another one. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, we're going to have to send it to the best body shop in town and pray. and that is what we did. And like, it was done by the best body shop in town called Buzz's, and it was phenomenally done, but it still is not the same as factory.
Right.
Not on something like this.
And this is what got you into the paint protection?
Yeah, and so I don't know why, but I'm having this like angry conversation about there's got to be something that can be done in this day and age regarding something like this. And a friend of mine, Mitch, is in proximity and hears me, and he goes, "Why don't you just call Dave?" I'm like, "Dave? What Dave?" He's like, "Dave Glendenning." I'm like, "Why would I call him? He tints windows for a living." Now he does this like clear film stuff, and he's trying to describe it to me, and I'm like, "Sounds like Saran wrap. What are you talking about?"
Saran wrap. I love it.
And so I called Dave, and I'm like, "What is Mitch talking about?" He's like, "Yeah," and maybe he used a different term at the time, paint protection film or clear bra or whatever. And I'm like, "Listen, I don't get it. Just get the fuck up here and show me." Comes up and he does an install. And my mind is blown. I'm like, why the fuck isn't this on every single thing that ever gets on any road, in the air, in the water, on a track? This should be on everything.
Right.
So him and I put together a plan, which was to start selling paint protection film
On the bikes.
on the bikes.
And how much was it? 300?
No. So it depends on the bike, right? I mean, obviously a bike where all you're going to do is the front part of the fender and teardrops on the tank and then maybe the rear fender piece. That's like maybe $500 retail.
Got it.
And what was it wholesale? I don't remember.
But the thing is, did you start selling them?
Oh, like crazy.
And then you saw the business opportunity.
And then the tour bikes whereas like, you need to have this. And that's where we had crazy penetration. And the tri-glides, it's even worse. It wasn't even an option anymore. It was like a preload. Well, so I remember this so clearly. So I'm thinking Dave's got to have this like monstrosity of this business because this film's being put on everything, I'm sure, right? And there's 13 dealerships in town, not including the power sports stores and boat stores. And like, well, that's a power sports too. But anyways, and so I'm like, I go down to see it, finally. I went down to like pick up a bike because he would drop it off and pick it up or whatever.
Yeah, this little shop.
Wasn't little, but it wasn't large. As a matter of fact, I think his showroom was bigger than his actual install bay.
Got it.
And I was expecting to see like, a dozen installers.
And you said, I want to be in this business?
Well, close. I was like, there's a front counter person, there was him, and then there was an IST, like an assistant to him. And I'm like, where's the rest of the team? He's like, what do you mean? This is it. And I'm like, wait. Like just the Hardys I'm selling. You guys are, and he's like, well, that's almost all the work we can handle right now because you're selling so much. What the fuck is wrong with you? This is scalable.
Right.
Like, you're way too boutique. And him and I, talked for about a year about very different concepts in terms of how to go to market and to grab wholesale and not just retail and all this stuff. And at the end of the year, we formed a 50-50 alliance or partnership on the business. And then we opened our second and our third shop and then the mobile operations and stuff. And
then now you're with Expo.
Yeah, Expo was...
How'd you meet Matt Moreau?
He's the... Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm asking. I know Matt really well. I love him.
Yeah,
he retired.
He did.
So
he's riding
Canada,
bicycles now and living life to the fullest.
I call him every once in a while. I'm sorry. I don't call Matt. I text him at 6 a.m. and I say, I heard you're getting fat.
Never.
I know.
Never. That man is
I mess with him.
more disciplined
but
than
the thing is,
you.
That's the joke that you can just say to him, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I love
He'll
him.
laugh at that for sure.
He does. He texts me back.
So he had reached out to Vic Beisel, God rest his soul. He passed away a couple years ago, who was our rep.
Yep.
And he was like, what is happening in Kamloops? Because the numbers are changing quite dramatically. And Vic was like, yeah, there's this new guy, Chris, and he's involved with Dave, and he's running the front end. And Matt was like, I need them here in Montreal tomorrow. I need to see what's going on. I need to, what are you doing question, right? How do you do it? And so Dave and I went, and next thing I know, was doing consultation for them. And, Dave, and then my dad is, I found him when I was 17, right? He left when I was 2, never looked back, went and found him when I was 17, rekindled our relationship, and we stayed good, but he had developed cancer. And so he was in South Carolina at the time in Charleston. And Matt called me because he had sold all of his businesses to Expo.
Right.
And he's now living in San Antonio. And he says, hey, I'd really like you to think about the idea of coming to work for us and run the East Coast. So I said, well, what size is the territory? Tells me. Okay. doesn't work for me because I would need the Carolinas as well. Because if I'm going to move, I want to move somewhere warm. And the only reason I would move is to maybe be close to my dad. And then on top of that, my wife wanted to be somewhere warm as well and beachy rather than Vancouver in the snow, winter. So they include the Carolinas. We went for an exploratory trip. You know, Dave and I talked about it, figured out a way to make it work. And the intention originally was I'd still be involved with the business and then also Expo.
When you came to South Carolina and you and I started doing business together, I did a ride and drive with you up north.
Yeah.
And I think we rode through Connecticut and everywhere, right?
Yeah, Virginia.
And I am listening to this dude on the phone for 45 minutes selling paint protection film to some customer in Canada. And I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, yeah, I got a business with my buddy Dave, and we're partners and blah, blah, blah. And I do the sales, and he does the installs, and watch this. I'm like, okay. I didn't watch. I listened for 45 fucking minutes. I didn't watch anything. I listened. And I'm in the passenger seat wanting to make 12 phone calls of myself that I no longer had access to my phone because I was listening to Mr. Spokesperson over here. And it was art. He had this script that he had mastered that was literally... And the thing is, the next day I heard it 2 more times. The next day I heard it 2 more times.
Yeah.
You had this masterful script, but it was 45 minutes long.
We call it a consultation.
It was literally 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. I know the questions I need to ask at the beginning
Yep.
to get them comfortable, to find out what they need to know,
Yep.
and not anything more.
That's not scalable. 45 minutes, you only have so many hours in a day. You only go close X amount of deals.
But
you need a video that says, hey, watch this first.
Well, Keith, the average close time for a brand new vehicle, someone wants it.
An hour.
Yeah, if you're
Hour.
really
I think
lucky, an hour.
I think an hour. I think
So-
Our goal was to get them in now in an hour, but for
So now imagine somebody just spent $80,000 on a new Ram.
yeah.
Now try to get another 8 out of them.
$7,000.
That's not gonna take 10 minutes.
No, you're absolutely right.
You're
Unless
right
They
about
came in
that.
and said, I want it.
Yeah.
So they want it because they know they need it.
Yeah.
But now you're trying to convince now you got more people that do paint protection film and say they can get it done.
Well, the thing is I never wanted to sell 4 cars. In my model, I think you know this.
You're talking about PPF.
PPF, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
I
talking
agree.
about PPF,
Yeah,
the clothes,
because we
and
were
sale,
talking about
right?
with
full
yeah.
bodies, right? So getting back to the paint protection business, I always introduced, hey man, if this was my car, the minimum I would do is a hood and a bumper. Like I honestly, just $1,000. I mean, invest $1,000, do the hood and the bumper. Once they come into the store and they see the environment, they see the experience, they see the product, and they meet you, you sell them the window tint. Then you can sell them the ceramic coating. But if they don't buy it, they're now a customer of yours, which means they own a home. We tint homes, which means they may buy a boat. You may want to sell them a boat. So telling someone they need to do, or they're calling for the $2,500 to $5,000 package, take it off the table. Say, hey man, you just bought a new car. I know you just spent a lot of money. Come in for $1,000, do the hood and the bumper, and let's get started on our relationship. Let's just get started.
That's exactly how I sold this guy with the C8 today.
Perfect. So a lot of times people want to go for the home run. They want to go for the kill. Take the date, take the kiss, take the holding hands. Eventually we'll get laid, I promise. If we still want to do it.
It's all about the sex.
Everything's about the sex.
I mean,
All
really?
about the sex.
I mean, sales is dating.
Sales
You're
is dating.
dating someone. It's like, I always tell sales guys in the past, I don't do it as much more because I have a really good sales guy now, which is Garrett, and he's learned everything from me, and I take all the credit.
He'll take the credit for everything. Everything he's ever said.
Exactly.
This is where Mike
Let
cuts
me-
off my mic.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But everybody's laughing and they know that I'm not serious. So it really comes down to the dating experience.
Okay.
And I tell my sales staff, years of sales staff training, think of yourself, number one, that you came to a bar and you're walking up introducing yourself and you want to be well groomed. You want your teeth to be clean. You want no gum and coffee breath and all the shit that we talked about earlier. You want to be presentable. Mm-hmm. And what value are you? Like I was telling Keith this morning at the gym, there was a gentleman that used to work for me that wants to come back, and he's been gone for a little while. And he had his keys, like a ring of keys snapped onto his pants.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me some questions, and we had talked for a little while. And he came in for one interview, and I basically said, let's talk about coming back to work. And he goes, well, let me go home and think about it. I'll give you an answer in a week or two. We'll talk. And I'm like, okay. So he calls me back in like a week, and I go, bro, you already missed the opportunity. I'm the hottest chick on the block. I just told you, you need to make a decision, and you didn't make one. So I went to someone else. I gave you an opportunity, but he says, well, no one's ever talked to me the way you talk to me. I treated him with respect. I didn't treat him any other way than I treat you, and I treat anyone else.
Okay.
And he goes, I really need someone to help me. Like, I feel like I'm always going backwards in life. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to do an exercise. I'm going to take a picture of you. Stand right there. Took a picture. And I said, in 3 seconds, tell me what you see. And I took it away. And I went back and I said, tell me the value that you put on this stock. I said, if you were going to go buy a stock right now, is it a penny stock, $1 stock, $100 stock? Well, tell me the value right now. And he goes, penny stock. And I said, okay, you just said that about yourself. Okay. I said, do me a favor, take the keys off. He said, okay. And I said, how many keys do you really need? You need this and this, and you don't need all that shit. He goes, nope. I said, put it in your pocket. He had his glasses like weird or something, like over here on the side. And I said, take your glasses off your shirt. Take your hat, put it backwards. I said, what's up with this fuzz shit? You got like stupid fuzz over here. I said, it's not groomed. You look dirty. You look like you are a truck driver that lives in a trailer park. And I said, I respect you. I know who you are. I know you're a good person. Please understand the words that are coming out of my mouth are to help you, not to hurt you. So I'm not here to criticize you, but you asked me for my help. So I sat on the back of my truck and I said, let me help you. And I said, when you took the keys off your pocket and you did your glasses and you took them away and you turned your hat backwards because his hair is a little bit funky, now value yourself. He said, $1 stock. I said, okay. The place that you work currently right now values you as a penny stock because that's how they perceive you every single day. If you shave this down, turn your hair backwards, turn your hat backwards because you're wearing a hat that's to me, it was just a flat hat. And I was like, dude, you look cooler if you put it backwards. You're still hiding your hair, trim down the sideburns. And then I did an exercise that I learned and when my back was messed up and my hips were messed up, and I had a coach tell me to take your center and expand it to try to move your hips forward when you're standing still. So what happens is that when people are talking to you body language wise, they're giving a read on your body language. And he was just sitting here like this with a timid position. And I said, you're coming across very timid. And that timid position means that you're weak. You need to turn around and expand this and put your hands in front. I said, think of what police officers do when they're talking to you and they're interrogating you. Their hands are in the front, they're crossed over, and they're very assertive, and they're standing up tall, and they're looking straight at you. I said, don't look at anyone in their eyes. Don't look at anybody in their eyes. I said, look at their chin. And the reason I say that is because in martial arts, we were taught to always look right here so we can see shoulders moving. So when you see someone's body moving, you're seeing it right here, okay? But it also takes the emotion out of it. So when you start looking in people's eyes, you start to feel emotion. So if you take the emotion out of it, you now can have a conversation with non-emotion, okay? And I was trying to get him to understand that he needs to be more confident to add more value to himself. And I asked him when he was there, because he was a tinter from me before, but now he's doing paint protection somewhere else. And I said, listen, are you good at paint protection? Well, I really like it. I can put my headphones on and I can really zone out. And, tinting was kind of stressful and it was all blah, blah, blah. And he gave me this long speech about how he really likes doing paint protection. He's an artist now and he really likes doing it and it's comforting to him. And I said, okay. I didn't say anything else. This is during the interview. He comes back outside and I said, when I asked you, are you any good at paint protection? He said, fuck yeah, I'm great. I would have left it alone and been like, damn, maybe I should hire you. If you would have said it with confidence and said it in 2 seconds and not gave me an explanation and just said, fuck yeah, I'm good. He goes, well, that wouldn't have come across too cocky. And I said, that's what you want. You're selling yourself. If you're selling yourself to me, I'm buying. I'm not buying, I really like paint protection. It's great. I can sit in the corner. I can be isolated by myself. I can put my headphones on. okay, great. You're another installer that's going to be isolated in the corner, and you're going to add zero value. Not zero value, but you're going to add value of being a production installer over in the corner. You're not going to disrupt the people. You're not going to interact with the customer. You're not going to interact with my staff. You're going to be isolated in this corner. If you want more value and you wanted more money, he wanted more money. So we had, if you want more money, create more value. And this is what I told him.
He didn't answer your question. If you really think about it, he just didn't answer your question.
No,
The
he was
question
self-deprecating.
Right, but the question was, are you any good at paint protection film? Right? Like, that's really the words that you should have heard.
Yep.
And instead, he talked about what he likes or doesn't like about doing the job versus his skill and talent and ability to complete the job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, paychecks are not based on emotions or how, what you like about it. It's your efficiency. It's your effectiveness.
If somebody asks me, Mike, are you good at winning? I'm fucking one of the best. Challenge me. If the best beats me, I'll buy him a beer.
Instead of sweet tea.
Instead of sweet tea. Well, the thing is, one thing I used to always say, and I still say this, not once, I still say this shit. Anyone that beats me in a fight, a real fist fight, like a real challenged fight, like a boxing fight, when I'm done, if I lose and I get beat up or whatever or knocked out, I will shake that person's hand. I will buy them a beer, and I will tell them thank you for pointing out my weaknesses.
I don't remember you buying me a beer.
You didn't drink.
There's this story going around about how Mike tapped me out versus boxing. I tapped him out. I don't know.
We did. In jiu-jitsu, he got me when I was really tired. It was like,
I did catch him when he was tired. There's truth
I was
to that.
exhausted.
He was. Well, I think he was
I had
more
two
like
black belts rolling with me for an hour.
He
and
was
he comes over here.
He was overheating. That's really what it was. He was wearing a
blue gi that was. If we had no gi, with no shirt on, would have got him because I'm slippery. I'm sweating.
Yeah, that part. But it was a gi match. Let me be clear.
It was a gi match.
The challenge was stand up, which thankfully he didn't make me do. He held pads instead and gave me some direction.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I made him come and roll.
But my hand game's pretty good.
Yeah.
My hands game's really good.
Yeah.
But stand up is what I was meaning. Like if I get in a fight with somebody knocks me out, I'm like, bro, you earned it. Good for you. I got 20 years of training here. But man, so Harley Davidson.
Yep.
And you went to paint protection.
Yep.
Now you're at Expel.
Yep.
And Expel, Matt called you, said, come run East Coast. You moved to Myrtle Beach.
They gave me a territory, like a regular TM. It was 15 states.
Yep. How long did you do that? A year, 2 years? Because I know you were with me from like maybe 2 years, and then they moved you to like a different...
yeah, it's interesting. I'm
trying to understand.
I'm trying to figure out what the timeline was.
Because you've been with Expel 6 years now. Almost
2017, end of 2000, like October of 2017. So
almost 7 years.
This October will be almost 7 years.
That's what I said, 6 or 7.
So you're right. It was probably as a TM for about 2 years, maybe 2.5. Then they sort of like split the territory and kind of like, and they had me having my own territory, but mentoring others.
Sure.
And it was very smart on that because it was like a way of feeling you out. It's like, okay, can you move from sales into management and still be effective, right? Because this was unique for me, right? This is now corporate America. This is not dealership world or you're working for yourself. Big change.
It took a lot for you to adjust.
It did, especially being, Dave and I were very successful shop owners. We did extremely well for ourselves. And I really liked being my own boss and not being told what to do.
Sure.
And that was a hard transition. That
no one still really tells you what to do. They give you suggestions. It's kind of like me.
Tony's pretty good at telling me what to do when he needs
Tony,
to.
though.
Yeah, Tony's badass.
I like him.
Yeah, he's been a good mentor to me. But yeah, I didn't know what it was, but 2.5 years. Now I'm running the eastern half of the U.S. and Eric Cummins was on the other side. And then they asked me if I wouldn't mind taking over Canada and like giving it some management. So I did that. And then it was like director of sales for North America, including Mexico. Then it was senior director of sales. And like I got heavily involved in Latin America, really started to, especially in Brazil and stuff like that, in Mexico, and really starting to give it some structure and some, I don't know, purpose. It just seemed to be like floundering.
Right.
It was doing well, which is okay. So it sounds weird, right? Saying floundering, you almost sound like the sales aren't doing well. Sales are doing well, but it wasn't something that you could bank on. It wasn't something that you could say, hey, here's the trajectory and here's what's going to go next year. And here's the path to get it to the next level. So they had me involved in that. And then, but 70% of Expo's revenue comes from 2 countries.
U.S. and Canada.
U.S. and Canada.
Right.
U.S. is number 1.
Then
Canada's
China.
number 2. Canada's number 2, yeah. And then China, which of course
And
our dear
UK.
friend Chris West is overseeing.
Right.
And so they're like, look, like the area that you're going to have the biggest impact is obviously North America. And so we really want you to just focus on that as much as possible. Now, they're like, hey, we need you in China tomorrow or Germany or wherever.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll go wherever they say.
So you're now what position at Expo?
The senior director of sales.
Senior. What does that mean? Means everybody reports to you?
Not everybody, but the vast majority of our sales.
So your
force
sales staff for North America, Canada report to you. And then you report to Tony.
Correct.
And Tony's your mentor.
Yeah, Tony and Ryan both.
Right.
Both mentor me equally. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have multiple coaches. So I have a good friend of mine who was my best man at my wedding, Sean Dahl.
I know.
Extremely successful. You've met him and hung out with him. He's one of my mentors, if you will. And then I have
Mr. Storage building himself.
That's right. Yeah, and now they're doing the car washes.
Oh, wow.
On top of the storage.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean the company's worth easily a couple $2 billion already. He sold his last one for 1.3, and I think this one's worth a lot more.
And that was with a B.
B, yeah, 1.3 billion.
Right.
Yeah, and then I have Tony, who replaced Matt, and that's been good for me because Matt and I were too similar.
Right.
Where
Well, Matt and I and you are all very similar.
Very.
Right.
So
we
like if I
need
was
that
mentoring you, other than maybe like the nuances of being in corporate America, it's not it's not realistic for a mentorship.
I've had many people ask me, like, you have mentored me some, and a lot actually. And I say the mentorship comes from this. You know VP racing fuel?
Yeah, I know them quite
You know how
well.
the oxygenation that's in the fuel, there's different octanes. I have been drinking 87 octane and been running good. I eventually got a little 89 every once in a while from other people.
Sure.
And then, this is the analogy I like to use. And then I found oxygenated 114, pure blue, smells great. And every time you give it gas, it's like, can I smell more? That's what I met with this man right here. I met Mr. VP. So he put fuel on this motor that has been sitting here running on 87, 89. I'm like, do it.
Reliably. Yep.
And then all of a sudden I get a little taste of some octane and I'm like, whoa, there it is.
Yeah.
And motors that want to run fast need octane. They need fuel. So getting fuel is what changed in me. It's not the motor. It's not the brain. It's not anything else. It's not the driver. It's not the suspension. I finally got some fuel.
Right.
And then I needed a good driver because the fuel started making the motor go really fast. So you've got to change gears and go, okay, then I need a mechanic to make sure it doesn't blow the motor. And I'm making this analogy on me. I found a Thad who is an engineer that's totally opposite me, who I fucking hated. I couldn't stand him because I wasn't like him. And he wasn't fueling me. He was challenging me because of the things he made me feel uncomfortable. He made me feel uncomfortable with the words he used and how he used them and how he used them against me. And I'm sitting there going, I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about, but it makes sense to me somehow. And I'm sitting there listening to him and I'm like, I fucking hate you because I don't understand you. And he's not giving me the race fuel that I want, but I knew I needed this algorithm to program the computer that makes the motor run. And I knew I needed it to perform at a high level. So I was like, I need to keep you and I need to understand that you're valuable to me. But I also need my race fuel. And then I also need Audrey, who is Miss Details. So when I found my right team, I went nuts because then I was able to drive the car efficiently, fast, and everywhere I wanted to go.
Right.
And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
You have a team of people around you that you're learning from, that you're picking up little pieces and you're gobbling up all the little information and it's making you...
And I pay for a business coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So once a month, I meet with somebody from Eckerd College.
Okay.
And Jan and I go over monthly goals.
Yep.
And a lot of it has to do with like, not only like goals and things of that nature, but even like communication styles. Who are you currently interacting with more effectively than you were before? are you saying that because you feel that way, or did you ask him that question? Like Tony and I in the beginning, like you and Thad, I was not communicating with him well at all.
Right.
You know, he's been in the industry for a long time, the car industry, but he was involved with nothing but extremely high level professionals. People who've been obviously educated like Harvard Business School and things of that nature, from private equity world, et cetera, and involved in really large deals, many billion-dollar deals. So, as you know, our client profile doesn't tend to fit that model. It's that E-Myth model.
Yeah.
And most of the shop owners, were installers
Yeah.
that decided to open up their own shop and did become,
What do you think the college education level of most PPF and tint shops? 10%, 20%?
yeah, maybe 10.
10, right?
Yeah. There's not many of them that I believe went through a higher education
Right.
and then decided that the PPF business or tint business was for them.
Right.
There is some,
Right.
but not many.
Okay.
And so him and I weren't communicating well at all. And I was really trying to get through to him. You're not dealing with the same client base that you had previously. But because of the style of delivery that I have, very animated and passionate and all these other negative words we probably can come up with, it just wasn't working for us. I love Expel. Love the
Yeah.
culture, love the company, love
Same.
the products, love what the company represents to its customer base as
Same.
as an offering. And like, I think that in sales, if you don't really love the company you're representing, you probably shouldn't do it, because otherwise you're not being genuine. And then you do have to go to tactics, strategies, plans to even have some kind of success. Hence the reason why I didn't do good in the business office. Didn't believe in almost anything I was selling other than the extended warranty.
I understand that.
So this Eckerd College course that I took, which was over a full week down in Florida, was unbelievable.
I know you asked me to come. Mm-hmm. Ryan wants me to come to one with him.
You should.
And I'm planning on it.
You should. And then after that week, you know, I really, you do a lot of like role playing, but you get to have your other team members really dissect you, and you're really exposed.
Yeah.
And like, I knew going in, I'm a megalomaniac, egotistical fucking asshole. Like, I knew that. And they all picked up on it in less than 5 seconds.
Right.
And it was confirmed. But it was like, okay, but is that effective in business? And are you an effective communicator? And then are you actually an effective leader? And you and I have this like strong following of everybody else. But is it because we're effective, or is it because we did so good at it ourselves that they're like, oh, we must follow him because he's obviously got the secret sauce, right? That recipe that Garrett was talking about earlier. And that's hard to recognize which one is it. Why are they willing to follow me? And the course was incredibly successful for me.
I told you maybe 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, between 6 months and a year ago, I said, Chris, I'm impressed by who you are today. You've changed. You've grown. You've become a better everything.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah. You were, well, let's be clear about what you really said. What you really said was all that, with the caveat that everybody thought that when I was going to get the role, I would just be a fucking asshole. Right? Remember?
I did.
It was like everybody was worried. Chris West, you, everybody. Once he has this role, because he's already an egotistical asshole, how much bigger is his head going to get? How much more dictator-like is he going to be, et cetera, uncollaborative. And
But you're Canadian.
I am Canadian, so we do say we're really sorry. Even if we did wrong, even if you did wrong, I mean, that's very accurate. Good point. But I'd had success already in the past with moving into management and recognizing now's not the time to puff out your chest,
Right.
and say I'm the alpha dog like it did to Wayne and Cam in the Hardy world. It was, hey, now's the time to help bring them up to that level.
I feel like when you reach a certain level that you can look in the mirror yourself and go, I don't need to tell people who I am. My resume already speaks for itself. When I walk in the room, people should already know. I shouldn't have to explain anything. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you can have real conversations with people with no ego. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm learning as well.
Yeah, hard. I mean, again, for people like yourself and I You know, we're visionaries. We take things very seriously if it seems like a personal attack, right? And you're trying to develop, trying to grow, trying to expand on the way in which you interact with people, more important than anything else. And sometimes constructive criticism is the words that they say, and we don't hear it that way. And so I actually took a course, I was saying, at the EC, again, they did an online course that they just announced. It was called Better Understanding Through Listening. And the course was situated around 3 keywords. Listen for the facts, listen for the feelings, and then listen for the values within whatever somebody's saying when they're making a point. First day, we do this exercise, and you're describing the facts, your feelings, and your values about a negative situation you're dealing with right now. Communication situation is what was intended. And all of us, and then, so what is it? You describe the problem. There's 4 people within your group. There's a person who's supposed to ask you questions. And then there's 2 observers, plus the coach. So we do everybody does the exercise, and we all describe the problem. We describe the problem in the way that we understand it. And the person's asking you questions to try and solicit more, figure out more. And then what they didn't tell us is they were going to do the same thing the second day. So that was in the morning of the first day, or the beginning session. And then the second and third sessions of the day was more like educational, like, hey, this is how you actually describe facts. This is what the feelings are and values. And these are sort of open-ended questions versus closed questions and all that sort of jazz. Well, the second day, we all went through the exact same exercise again. No different. You had to describe the same problem and then interact on the questions and answers, and then same observers. On the second day, almost everybody was what I would call now factual. It went from someone like me and you who would describe the issue that would take us 4 minutes to describe it. I did it in under 10 seconds. And the craziest part was that everybody realized the problem you were trying to describe the first time is not the actual problem. There's something else. Like, if I was to say something like, yeah, I've been trying to get Mike Burke to get his team to sell 50% more ceramic coating they're currently selling, and Mike's not listening, and Mike's not, it might not actually be the problem. I'm describing you as the problem, but in reality, it might be, hey, the team has not listened to Mike. So it's not my communication that might be the problem with Mike. It might be his communication with them. And so every one of us was like, holy shit. Like, what we thought was the problem yesterday is probably not the real issue.
Right.
And so, getting back to this course. Don't worry
Good,
about
I
it.
have that on record.
Yeah. That's lasts for about 10 minutes before we change our mind.
Yeah.
Facts, feelings, values.
Facts, feelings, values.
Yeah.
Hear that?
Nugget.
Yeah.
Love.
Audrey's like, please have him take these courses. Please.
She is.
Read my mind.
Well, the difference is Audrey, my girlfriend, is an architect, which she's probably the most smart, intelligent person I've ever met, other than probably you. And she's a walking factual evidence person, and she would have been the best lawyer I've ever met on the planet. She could have had her own TV show because she wins arguments with all the evidence and facts, and she doesn't have to describe with zero emotion. The evidence and facts describe X, and this is what it is, and I hate it. It drives me insane.
Yeah, I was talking about something similar to this with Ryan Pape about 2 weeks ago, and he was complimenting me on something, and what he was saying was, we were doing a review, and I was like, hey, can you tell me about some areas that you feel I've improved upon and the areas I still need to work on, et cetera, et cetera? Because again, trying to mentor myself for the role. And he said, one of the things I love about you that you've had since I've met you is you're able to argue both sides no matter what. And I said, oh, I can tell you the reason for that. And he said, oh, what's that? And I said, well, when I was in high school, for the couple of years that I was part of the debate team and part of a club called Mecca and Decca.
I know it.
Mm-hmm. And loved it. But I would purposely argue the side I didn't actually believe in. And always what would happen is when you debate, you would have a show of hands of what side of the topic are you currently siding with, right? Do you believe in this or do you believe in that? And then after the debate, the idea was to see if we had swayed anybody's hands. Was there a different count? And I don't know that I ever lost an increase in count. So everybody assumed that I was vehemently in alignment with the argument that I was making, and yet in reality I was on the other side the whole time. So I call it closed door, open door. And I encourage anybody that's in management to consistently have these with their team members and ask of them, of the people they report to. Meaning, when the door is closed, this is a safe zone. This is a personal safe zone. I should be allowed to argue with you, disagree with you, not be personal, not be Mike, you're a fucking asshole because you're 6'4" and I'm only 5'9" or 5'8" or whatever I really am. Maybe 5'7". Shh. But closed door, I should be able to have a very constructive conversation without it getting personal, with me having the exact opposite opinion of you, you not taking it to a level of getting angry with me over it, because we should vet both sides out efficiently to make sure that even if we think we're going into this aligned, that the other side has been considered in case there's a mistake to be made. So that's closed door. And I do this with my team members all the time. They'll ask me, just so I know, is this a closed door or open door? This is closed. Great. Say whatever you need to. Back up what you're saying, mind you. And then let's talk it out. But the minute that door opens, we leave aligned. We leave with 100% alignment. Even if I'm not completely convinced that I'm wrong and that you're right, but your position is stronger or better and I listen to it appropriately, and therefore I'm going to go along with it, this is really important. Because now we leave together
as a team,
aligned,
yes,
and everybody else sees it and feeds into it, and then they're also on the same page, and that's where you have a dramatic impact within team members below you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I need to do that more.
Argue both sides, even if more importantly, the one you don't believe in.
And that's important. And you've done that with me many times.
Many times.
Yeah. And my power is getting better, I would say, because I'm working with people more and I'm coaching more. So the thing is, thank you for Expel paying for all of your coaching, because I'm getting the Cliff Notes. I don't need to read the book.
Yeah, I mean, you were amazing, right? Like when I met you, I knew that there was a ball of energy sitting there, but it was kind of dormant. And you were on somewhat of an autopilot. And I was like, man, like this could be so much bigger than what it was. Much like with Dave.
Yeah.
Like this could be so much bigger than what it was with you at the helm. And so now, typically once a month, I take on two clients from Expel, obviously, that are exclusive with us. And I do mentorship programs with them.
Awesome.
And then I do it for like whatever they need. Like in your case, maybe it was like, I don't know, 3-4 months that we were communicating that often, trying to like move the needle. And once it was there, it was like, okay, he's got it. Yeah.
I think when you came and approached me, I was at a certain amount of sales, and then you put rocket fuel on me.
So it's funny because you bullshitted me on how much you were selling at the time when I met you at SEMA.
No, not mine.
Oh yeah, by about double in terms of what his purchasing was, and had convinced the entire company that that's what his purchasing volume was. But happy to say that the thing that I admired a lot was that you were, even back then and more so now, still willing to listen. It's like I remember one of the most interesting conversations I ever had with you was regarding XR Plus. And I don't know if you remember this conversation.
I do. You kept arguing the fact that I didn't want to sell that film.
You were like, you don't know Charlotte.
Right.
Chris, you've never lived in the States.
Hey,
you don't know Charlotte.
I have used your sales approach to me 1,000 times by saying this exact scenario, Garrett, and you'll appreciate this one. This one's a really good one, and this is one I will take him. I'm not giving him credit. I'm taking all the credit.
Hey, listen, there's so many that he's stolen from me. We've been in meetings that, like with Ryan, he's like, so, what do you think about it? And I'm like, motherfucker.
Don't tell me shit, because I will take it and run with it. And then I do it more convincingly than he does, so it's all good.
That's true.
So he was telling me, he goes, listen, Mike, I want to ask you a question. Are there Mercedes dealerships in Charlotte? I said, yes. Are there Mercedes dealerships in Canada? Yep. Are there Mercedes dealerships in California? Yep. I said, are there Mercedes dealerships? Find the poorest city in the fucking U.S. and tell me there's a Mercedes dealership there. Yep, there is. In Indiana, I mean, in like Iowa, in wherever cornfields are and there's a city, there's a Mercedes dealership. And I said, okay, I got the fucking point. There's Mercedes dealerships. He said, do you know who determines the price of a fucking Mercedes? Mercedes-Benz. And do you know what? They wouldn't put a dealership there if they weren't selling any cars. And I go, ding, ding, ding. So find the people who want to buy Mercedes.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that was my version of the story, is basically don't argue with me that you're in an area that doesn't support this price. It was basically don't argue with me.
Right.
Because there are people in this area that are buying expensive things and they want to buy expensive things.
There's a reason there's a Rolls-Royce dealership. There's a reason why there's a McLaren dealership. There's a reason why there's a Lamborghini dealership. There's a reason why there's a Ferrari dealership here.
I'm not going to add to this because there was one important piece that he's missing.
Okay.
It came from you.
No.
No, in this case, he thought of it as on his own.
Right.
Is that I also said to him, you tell me that the market's different there. So by that, what you're telling me is that in New York City, a Mercedes-Benz is $300,000 for an S500 or 550 now.
And Beverly
But
Hills.
here in Charlotte, it's 50 grand. Because you can't afford a Mercedes-Benz here. The market's different. And he's like, well, no, the price is the same. And I said, exactly. Stop fucking telling me you can't do this.
Right.
So, he was selling, your number one film by a long shot was Carbon.
Yeah.
And they were selling an average ticket of about $225.
Right.
And that was the upsell from the Standard Pro. Standard Pro was the advertised product, $200. You could do from 175 with a Groupon, get them in the door, show them the benefits of the Standard Pro. But then if you want, let me tell you about the benefits of Carbon and move them into Carbon. And I'm like, yeah, but then what about your CXP and your CIR, which are the two other lines from, we don't even sell I mean, maybe one store stocks like a box of CIR. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. No. No, this is stopping right now. So I asked him, can I train your sales team on a Monday morning? Because every Monday they used to meet up at like
Breakfast. We read for
breakfast every Monday morning.
Company met.
In the entire company. And then
When the
Charlotte.
company was small, I could afford it.
Well,
Right.
all the Charlotte stores met,
Right.
right? Because you still have Boston and Charleston, what have you. And so I go in and I'm like, okay, let's talk about how to sell film. And I'm like, okay, this is a film for looks. This is a performance film, and this is a medical grade film. And everybody's like, what's medical grade? And I was like, great, pull out your phone. And then type in, is your window tint medical grade? Great. See the video? Great. Understand that.
SPF 1000, all of it. Yeah.
All of it, right? Cataracts,
I know.
skin cancer,
Yeah, right.
all these things, right? And I said, now, obviously, make the customer aware of the benefits. I hate the feature benefit sales strategy per
I
se.
can't stand it either.
Because again, it really is much more of an emotional purchase. I know Keith will definitely agree with me on this. But at the end of the day, if they don't have the knowledge, then you have to at least be able to tell them, hey, there's some features you're not aware of. Still needs to lead into an emotional purchase, right?
Because they're going to buy when the value exceeds the price.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But like this whole, like, all you have to do is talk about the features and the benefits and let's go close the deal. No, fuck that. You've got to connect with them. But if they don't know the features, then it's fair to say that you need to at least point those out. So regardless, so he's selling an average ticket, $225. That was his, like, for like years. And in less than 6 months, it's over $400. So I'm like, you do realize that I more than doubled your profit, right? Because the film doesn't change by much. That was all labor money at that point. I more than doubled your profit within your existing operation by simply changing your sales strategy.
Everything originates with sales.
Today, we were at your Matthews store.
Yeah.
And Monica
Yeah.
was so proud because she's showing me another XR Plus window film that's getting done on a used Hyundai Santa Fe 2021. Maybe you sold it. I don't know who did. And it was an XR Plus window film with roof, with windshield, and the ticket was over $1,000.
Yep.
If I told him there was a $1,000 window tint getting sold in Charlotte in 2018,
I would have slapped him.
yeah,
I said, hell no, bro. There's no-
yeah. I'm the baddest, I'm the biggest, I'm the best. We don't even get $500 for a window
So
tint.
here's the thing that I will argue in defense of that strategy. I have been tinting windows in the back of the shop and did mobile window tinting for years. Like, I have physically abused my body 15 hours a day for 10 years. I'm a tinter. I forgot how to be a salesman. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on right now. And when I mentor all these tinters, I'm like, God, get the fuck out of the tent bay.
Right.
Hire a salesperson. Be the owner. Stop being a tinter because you think like a tinter. So when you
I've had our guys here actually say, it's because we know the sales, they start selling at, and I'm like, guys.
Here's the thing. I can tint a fucking car in 45 minutes. Any car in the world. I'm badass fucking tinter.
Yeah.
But the difference is I'm a badass owner now. So I no longer need to wear the tinter hat. I go in, I shrink a back window, I lay a couple patterns, just to let the guys know I still know how to do this shit. I go put a bumper on a PPF. I still let them know I still can play the game. And what I say now is, like, think of an NFL player. Okay, Tom Brady. He just retired, right? One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You don't think he could go and play a couple snaps and play one quarter anywhere in the NFL, play one quarter? Sure, he's not going to play the whole game because he's not in shape. He's not training hard.
Right.
Right, but he could go play a couple quarters and probably score you a touchdown, right? That's me. I'm retired in that area, but if y'all put me in the game, I'm going to play a quarter, but don't let me play the whole game because I'm going to get tired. I'm exhausted. I'm not trained to be in the game and play, but I can still play the game because I love the game. But do it because you love it, not because you have to. And when you're a tinter, you feel like you have to do it every day because it's a production. It's what you have to do every day. But you can't be a good tinter, a good salesman, and a good business owner, and a good marketer. You got to figure out where you can be the best at. And if you're ready to hang up your tint hat, hang it up. Hang it up, okay? Hang it up. Go be the best salesman. Or go manage the business. Or leave. One of the things that I'll tell people that was one of the best success stories for myself is I left my shop. I left other people in charge, and I left and went open another store. They go, how did you open up all these stores? And I go, I came in, I opened the store, I tended it, I ran it, and I hired somebody. And every person that walked in the door that knew me, I said, hey, this is Wayne, this is John, this is whoever. If I'm not here, talk to this guy. And I created the process where they worked with me. And then I left and went open up another store. And I worked there for 6 months by myself, tinting windows, building another clientele. And then I hired another Wayne. And then I did this and did this. And I went and did another one and hired it again. But then when I got 3 stores, it was easy to get to 6. It was like 1, 2, 3. It was like, boom, 6 was like a joke. It was like hire another one, hire another one, hire another one. Because now I was spending money on marketing this one, and this one. I was always doing ad budget. Well, this one was maxed out. This one tinter can only tint so many cars. So now I'm funneling cars over to the next store. Now that store's so busy. So now I'm funneling business over to that store. I did marketing. I understand marketing because that's what I have a degree in college, and that's what I love is really marketing. And I would love to be a marketing director for a Fortune 500 company. Not that I want to work for XPEL, but
Hint, hint, hint.
Right.
but I really love marketing. That is my passion. At the end of the day, I love spending other people's money to put logos and brands everywhere. So, I think I could do a good job at it. But all the other window tinting shops weren't spending any money on marketing or their websites or their brand or their imaging. And that's what differentiated me from everyone else is I looked like a franchise without being a franchise. I looked corporate. I looked like the people that were driving Mercedes wanted to come to this place. And that was really, at the end of the day, what made me different. And that was the expansion. And that's the key to success is expand and know how to walk away from what you're doing to go focus on the business. Everybody goes, man, I want to open up more stores. You're still taking cars at midnight. You're still doing paint protection at 9, 10, 6 in the morning. You're never going to expand your business. You're never going to hire more employees because your focus is on getting the work in and the work out because they're focused on the instant gratification of the dollar of getting that car in and getting the car out because their mindset. So if they hired a guy like you or a guy like Hardy or a guy like me or somebody else that can focus on the business every single day and they go, well, I can't afford them. I said, let me show you how you can.
Which you've done a lot.
Which I've done a lot. I got to show people how you can afford. You know, the people go, I can't afford a good salesperson. No, you can because you take a $225 tent job to a $450 tent job, and you were saying you couldn't sell those before, but now you can. You can afford a good salesperson.
Well, everybody thinks of the big gross number, that overarching. I can't afford $60,000 a year to pay someone to just talk.
Right.
That what's the value to me? Well, that $225 tent job then gets doubled to a $450 tent job. You do that more than, 10 times a
You
week.
went from sending 6
You're
cars a day
paying that
to
person.
4 cars a day, and you're doing less wear and tear on your body. Anyway, but that's business. And the thing is, what Carl Hardy and I just basically talked about was 10% of the people that are in this business graduated from a college or higher education. It's education. These people that are in what we do need higher education, and they need it from guys like Hardy, guys like me, and other people that have been there and done that, who can now mentor them. And that's what we really need to be doing.
I wouldn't say higher education. I think they need experience education.
Well, I mean higher
Some
education.
kind of mentorship.
Well,
Yeah.
when I say higher education, I'm grouping experience into there, not necessarily college.
College,
I'm
right?
just saying
And then
experience.
that's what I wanted to clarify. is 'cause
Like
that's-
well, right now, Chris is very intelligent, very smart man, but he's paying for a coach. He's getting mentored. He's getting coached by multiple people. If you're not being mentored or coached by someone, you're not going to grow. You have to talk to someone who's done it or been there or at least had more experience than you have.
the invaluable conversation that you can have by picking up the phone or sending a text saying, hey, I'm having this problem. What have you done?
Sure.
Yep.
And just having input. It may not be the thing that you do, but it might present a nugget of information that might convince you to go in a different direction, and it works, or it doesn't, but you didn't know it if you didn't know
The
it.
thing is, I get probably, and I'm not exaggerating, 20 probably text a month asking me questions that that other businesses that have seen me on Facebook and Facebook groups will just text me randomly saying, hey man, or message me on Facebook or whatever. They're not friends with me or have my number. And they'll say, hey man, I've been following you. What would you do in this situation? How would you handle this? What would you do? I value what you're saying. And I go, blah, 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 blah. Here's my number. Call me. And Audrey will contest to this. I'll sit on the back porch for an hour talking to somebody I don't even know. And the dude will be texting me an hour later going, bro, thank you so much. You just gave me everything I needed to know. You mapped out everything. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I did this a couple times. And it was working out really well. And then a guy was asking me for some help and wanted me to coach. And I set up a time. And I called him. And all I could hear was a heat gun running. And I'm like, bro, you need to turn that heat gun off or, blah, blah,
You're
blah.
not paying attention.
And I kept trying to talk to him. And then Thad and Audrey both said, you need to start charging people for this. You got to charge them. Because you're not valuing what you're saying if you're not charging. So before anybody can get on the phone with me, I send them a bill for $250 and say, pay the $250 first, and then you get an hour of my time. A lot of times when people pay that, I will give them multiple hours. I will give them multiple, but pay it first because it makes the commitment that you now are committed to valuing my time. You're going to get a notepad out. You're going to be in a room, quiet. You're going to now be paying attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
If you call a massage therapist and tell them your back hurts and you're going to continue working, but I'm going to have you come to my shop and just, continue. Well, you can massage me while I'm doing. That's not the way that works. You
Right.
sit there for that hour and a half.
Right.
Because you're dedicating that time, because you're investing that money.
I like that example. Well done.
Thanks.
It was a good one.
He gets lots of massages.
No, I'm being serious. Like it's really. It really paints a good picture. Like,
really
is
does.
that going to happen?
No,
it's ludicrous.
You obviously you take the time. If you chiropractor, same thing. Dentist, same thing. You're investing that money in yourself. Having a mentor and having that business coach is doing the same thing.
Right.
The only difference is I'm not allowed to charge for it because I work with a company with a
Well,
client.
yeah.
But I wish I could.
And I consult for the company, so now if ex-belt dealers call me, I got to talk to them now.
Yeah, that's now an official consultant for us, so that's definitely true.
Bro, I want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Man,
I love you,
brother.
bro. You're amazing.
Love you, buddy.
Love
Thank you
you,
so
man.
much
Thanks.
for having me on.
Garrett,
I'm so glad to be here.
Is he not amazing?
He's pretty cool.
He's pretty cool,
He's
dude.
pretty cool.
Thanks, brother.
And humble as anything.
Yeah,
Don't want him.
very humble.
Love it.
Very humble.
He's 7 foot tall.
Listen, famous within the XBL community for being humble.
7 foot tall, 300 pounds, red shoes,
That's true.
and a red watch that's bigger than my arm.
That part's actually true. But that's the little man syndrome. What do you want me to do?
Everything about him is big. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, everything that I might try and wear.
Except hands and feet.
Right.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.
See you, man.
Thank you.